Okay, people. So today I am joined by Charles Delaney to talk about his. Not Delaney?
Hi, how are you?
Charles.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yes, awesome. Welcome to the show, man. I appreciate you stopping by.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting me.
No worries, man. No, you're working with the great AJ Feurman, and whenever AJ comes through with anything, I know it's going to be good. So it's always and it's different. And Pike was definitely, I was not expecting what I got with Pike, which was great.
Yeah.
And so, how did this come about? Because you're wearing a lot of hats with Pike, right? You co-wrote it, you actually produced it, and you're starring in it. So, how did all of this come about?
Yeah, it's sort of identity crisis of all the hats. You know, it's quite. Sometimes I forget I'm actually playing the role of Pike. Which is confusing, but there you go. It's strange but true. What it came about actually, Kevin, because I used to be a talent agent in central London, in Mayfair, and so I was in an agency for about 5 years, and I used to look after all these crazy sort of celebrities or wannabe celebrities, as it were, in reality TV and generally a sort of models as well, sort of catwalk editorial, that sort of thing, that world. Yeah, so I occasionally wanted to sort of kill them, unfortunately, because they were just really annoying. And you know, obviously, the thought crossed my mind, and I actually thought, well, what about if I invent a character that actually does, or potentially gets away with it? And that's how James Pike came about, came to fruition, because this character basically goes around, he's a talent agent and gets rid of his clients or anyone basically that's got zero talent in his view. And it's sort of, you know, he's looking to rediscover meritocracy in show business, you know, so he's out there looking for new talent, which he finds in all kinds of nooks and crannies, like skiing or in pubs, you know, and clubs and places and events he goes to. So yeah, but that's how it came about. It's really, I was actually a talent agent myself, so it's kind of it's like Call My Agent, if you know the French series, meets Dexter, you know.
Okay.
So, you know, in Call My Agent, the agents, you know, pander to the whims and, you know, needs of their clients, but in this case, the agent just kills them. So it's kind of, that's how it came about. I was actually the talent agent for some time. So obviously, the various adventures that Pike gets involved with are based on real characters, but obviously we're not, you know, you've got to work it out who they are, you know, if it's possible, because we'd obviously change the names. And, yeah, I don't want to do that. So yeah, that's how it came about.
Oh man, yeah, I would never have thought that. That's great. Yeah, no, that's great because yeah, you know, living that lived experience, right? Like knowing the ins and of it all gives you that authenticity to actually write storylines that
Yeah.
hold truth and that you can really believe in rather than just be like, this is kind of farcical, you know.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you know, they say it's always best to write about what you know, what you've experienced, because you obviously, as you just say, you know, you can bring that truism, truthfulness is the word, I think, to the whole equation, to the storyline. And so, yeah, I mean, it's actually lived those. I didn't kill anyone. Well, I mean, you know, if you look at the bottom of the lift shaft in Berkeley Square House in Berkeley Square, I mean, there's some maybe human remains, but it's nothing to do with me. Okay, it's just a rumor. No, yeah, and it's based. It's you know, it's actually I lived those experiences. As I say, apart from murders. But yeah, it's always good to write about what you know.
Oh yeah, and I think everyone's wanted to kill a work colleague. So
Yeah, at some point, yeah, it's I guess it's inevitability, isn't it?
Mhm.
So but it's all it's a dark comedy, Pike, and it's obviously it's based on true events, but it's it's meant to be funny, the absurdity of today's celebrity world, and the Instagrammers and reality TV folks that we come across, are just frankly a bit nuts at times.
Mhm.
Not all of them, of course, but probably 99%. No, not joking. Not all of them. But yeah, so that's really how that came about, and yeah, I mean, there's lots of storylines to draw from. You know what I mean? It's yeah, I mean, we can probably go for 15 seasons for this.
Mm.
There's
Well,
lots of annoying celebrities.
yeah. I mean, the other great thing about this as well, like being a talent agent, you can go international,
Yeah,
right? So you can literally set this anywhere,
exactly. Yeah,
which is so, you can do film, you can do TV, you can do modeling, you can do, editor, you can just go any computer game, this character can go anywhere. It is
yeah,
so intriguing.
absolutely, and it's a universal
Mm.
scenario, and it covers all walks of media and all areas, and yeah, there's a lot of scope to choose from on that, and work in any territory, So I mean, it could be a Hollywood agent, it can be a French agent even, so European. So yeah, and it's a universal thing now, isn't it? Celebrity or crazy celebrity. It's gone a bit. I mean, I think the Instagram thing is a bit over. You know what I mean? It's like the influencer. I mean, what's all that about? I mean, I know it's about obviously making money, but that's all it is.
Yeah.
It's not actually. I mean, back in the days, someone had a talent and they performed an audience, and obviously it's a win-win situation. The artist gets to perform, they've got talent, and the audience appreciated that, and applauded accordingly, or not, as the case may be, for a Rotten Tomato. But I mean, the thing is that it's just now all about advertising revenue on that level,
Yeah. I mean, it's the term influencer. I hate that because you're not actually, it's not real influence,
Yeah,
right? Because it's that people, follow these people for, a minute until they're bored and they go to the next person,
yeah,
right? And, people want to pay these to promote their brand, but people are only interested in the brand for the duration of that person using it.
yeah,
The minute oh, I've stopped using that shampoo, I'm using this one now, then they're moving to the new shampoo. So you're not
mm,
influencing, you're not really turning the needle on anything, right? It's not brand loyalty.
yeah,
So it's like it's this weird thing that's
yes.
being created.
You just bring in new brands as you need them to make money. I mean, you've got actual influencer houses now. People are actually given a chore, to promote certain brands throughout the day, and that it's like the brand house, so they have to sort of create, it includes the brand. I mean, it's just, as I say, it's just about selling advertisements or selling brands or selling advertising. So it's slightly vacuous, also to say massively, but it's it does. I mean, if you actually, I mean, I've met a couple of influencers in the in the flesh, so to speak, and they're. I mean, it's suddenly the whole stack of cards falls apart when they're actually in the real world. It's like they're champions virtual world. And when they get into the real world, it's like, it's. I mean, I won't go into specifics, but I've had that experience. Like, they just they can't really deliver. Or they don't deliver. So
No.
and so yeah, absolutely. The word influencer, it's a misnomer.
Yeah.
I because
It really reminds me of like early music, right? Where when you featured on someone's album, it was because you were mad talented and the artist wanted to work with you. Now it's just if you can pay enough money, you can get a feature.
Yeah.
Right. It's just, things have really, really changed with all of this and clamoring to be famous.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, oddly enough, I was brought up in a jazz club in South London. My dad ran a jazz club when the family lived on top.
Ah,
Jazz club in Streatham, and so that was quite a big influence in my early years. But I met a lot of musicians who, like, were madly talented. But I mean, all they wanted to do was play, and so their idea of happiness is just doing a gig and then going to the bar and spending all the money afterwards. But as long as they were playing. But I mean, they were fantastically talented. I mean, a lot of them were session musicians. They
yeah.
were artists. Obviously they made money through that. But most of the time, it's about the playing. So I mean, obviously live music. So yeah, I mean that side has changed dramatically in recent years. Um, but yeah, I mean a lot of the music has a lot of sampling that goes on in there, and
Mm.
I mean some of it really works.
Well, there's gosh, who was it? I feel I'm wrong, but no, it was Young Guru. Young Guru on, I think it was I want to say 444, but I might be wrong, with
Yeah,
Jay-Z. And he used a no, it's a different song, but he used a hammer sample,
right.
right? Can't touch this. But literally it was just like do do do. That was it. But when you know the song, you'd be like, yo, that sounds like, but it was just this little bit
Yeah,
of the hook that he used, and it was just done masterfully.
yeah,
But then you can get like I remember, I think it was Pratt or Wycliffe. They used this Bee Gees Staying Alive, and they just looped the entire hook. And
yeah,
it's just that kind of thing is a bit lazy to me. Like I like it when you take this little part of the song and then you do something with it. You warp it, you expand it, you know what I mean? You compress it, but you create something brand new, and it's not crazy obvious,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Rather than just taking an old beat and then putting something on the top of it without doing anything to that beat.
yeah. I mean, you come the late great Angie Stone, which her song was I shouldn't think of you anymore. I think it's the title, but it was
Mm,
massive sampling of the OJ's, wasn't it?
yes.
Yeah, but I mean, it was just that's a constant underlying uh, 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 tonology from that track. Backstabbers made in '73. Um,
Mm,
well, actually, the OJ's made it's called Backstabbers, wasn't it? But I mean, that whole song is really a massive sampling exercise, isn't it?
oh, it's just, oh, it's
Yeah,
great.
fantastic. Obviously, there's our own lyrics and everything, and well, obviously they're completely different arrangement, but the underlying um, yeah, tonology and beat is the OJ's Backstabbers from 1973.
Mm,
That recent 2001, wasn't it? So it was worldwide hit. It's just but that's the best example I think of really using this massive amount of sampling in a track that's like hugely successful. Um,
yeah,
but
some people are just magicians when it comes to that kind of thing. When you look at like RZA and just I mean, there's just so many, right? Quincy and so many different people can just make pure magic using a sample, manipulating something, and we get something completely fresh.
Yeah.
But the music industry has definitely changed a lot as well.
I don't know how musicians make any money out of it anymore, apart from live gigs. I think because it's so fragmented. I'm like, I've got a couple of friends of mine that are in the business, and they had hit records in the '90s, and made a sizable sum from that. But then in to actually repeat that is impossible, because obviously you fragment.
Yeah, I
royalties,
think. Yeah, I think it is touring, right? Touring and selling stuff directly from your own website. I think that's the only real way, but you're not really making a lot of money from an album sale. It's just doing the tour, selling merch, all of that. That's where you're getting it, that live experience.
Yeah. But then again, I mean, we're talking about talented people here, aren't we? So the people that Pike gets rid of have got absolute. They couldn't sample a beer in a brewery.
Yeah, these people ain't gonna be on Pike's list.
No.
You know what I really thought was interesting in the pilot? Was the Scarlet character.
Which character?
Scarlet.
Oh yeah, yes.
Because when we first meet her, she comes across as like one of these vapid, entitled people. But then the second meeting, we get this completely different look. And I thought that, again, it shows that thing, right? Like in public, people put on these facades, but then when you actually sit them down, you can get this completely different thing from them.
That's the whole idea. Yeah. Great, you picked up on that. I mean, you're illustrating there that there is potential depth to a vacuous character.
Yeah, it did seem that conversation.
Yeah, it's obviously in the agency office, she's just completely off on one, being that the facade of that character is just at its worst. Privately it's a whole different ball game. There's actually empathy and depth going on there in the character, but it's as you say, it's not illustrated in public. That's what I found quite a bit with certain people that I represented, is that actually they did have that going on, that depth, sort of, if you like, I hate to use the word intelligence, but it was like a sort of emotional intelligence that they had privately, but in front of their audience, facade was obviously what it was, just sort of bonkers crazy, or crazy bonkers. So yeah, I'm pleased you picked up on that. Yeah, with Scarlet.
No, I thought it showed, because there's so many pilots out there, right? And you watch a pilot and you be like, oh, this is so good. And then when it goes to series, you find that there's no more to the story, right? It was just a small idea that you couldn't, or they couldn't expand upon. Or maybe the first few episodes are decent, but there's just no more where they can take it. But I think in these 15 minutes of Pike, you really get rid of this larger thing, right? Like, obviously, he's got this big client list. So there's that to explore. But then you've also got like Scarlet. So there's that, which also shows us this different side of Pike as well. And then this thing of the Catherine character that's just eating at him, but you don't know why and how. And we just get that off the hand thing he says, be like, they're all to blame for, and you're just like, how though? Right? Because that could be a physical thing, but it could be like that greater, thing of the way people are vying and jockeying for success and the vapidness of it all, and like that, like, so there's so many ways you could look at it and run with it. So it's super intriguing, right? So you have all of these different things and you'll be like, oh, where could this go? Right? This has got so much room to kind of expand.
I mean, it's kind of the element that's motivating him is the fact that his daughter was an extremely talented singer and she doesn't get any success for one reason or another, and so she actually commits suicide, sadly, which sounds a bit very dark, but obviously there's that thing going on that she was obviously in his view, but was definitely a talented performer, but yet he's telling all these celebrities that actually haven't got any talent in his view. So so he's having to grapple with that sort of dynamic, but anyway, the fact that he had this tragedy in his life that motivated him as well. That's why he's got it in for them, and he feels it's kind of some in his own mind that they're responsible for her early demise, as it were, or that by her own hand. But because she couldn't get a decent singing gig, it's just a bit crazy. But that kind of pushes him over the edge as well, and also dealing with the rapper client who is moonlighting, getting dad to represent and do gigs behind Pike's back. That really just there's no pun intended, but the final nail on the coffin. So he's so yeah, there's that aspect of it that it just there's all these elements all coming together that are just finally push him over the edge. But in fact, the initial piking, as we call it, of the celeb, it's not actually Pike's at Pike's own hand. It's someone else's. So he's a victim of circumstances, and it kind of goes on from there. Kind of motivates him to continue with this this campaign of eliminating talentless celebrities. But it's actually the first piking is just something that happens by chance. So yeah, that's the way things happen in life, isn't it? Sometimes it's just stuff happens that and then it kind of sends you in that direction, and off you go.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like, how long did it take to put the pilot together?
So about, I mean, obviously you have preparation, what they call pre-production, in terms of finding locations and so on. I guess all in all, about a month to do it, including getting the locations and setting all that up, and we shot quite most of it in central London, basically, Soho, and also in Mayfair. But the actual principal photography we did it all in 1 week. So yeah, we crammed it all in. So you obviously got various time constraints going on with that thing. So yeah, it was a bit of a tight schedule.
Now, was there anything about that? And yeah, because when you're doing indie stuff, there's budget constraints, time constraints. There's so much that you have to deal with.
Yeah.
So it's just when you started that shoot, were there things you were hoping to get that you just weren't able to get, or did things turn up that you were just like, oh no, that's perfectly, that was a little unanticipated.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the various things. I mean, just logistics of things. I mean, we there's a scene where we've got Pike in the taxi, but we were supposed to have a taxi turn up, but he didn't turn up.
Oh,
So
God,
taxi at the last minute, stuff like that. A black cab, which fortunately we did. But the driver, we actually got a friend of mine to drive the taxi, who happens to be a Formula One driver coach guru, and basically he's like infamous in his own right. I would say, in the motor racing world, I'd say infamous. He's actually, a very revered driving coach. So he's a mate of mine, and I got him to drive the taxi, and he's got him to also improv a line in the cab as well. Basically, who are you talking to at the back there? So yeah, I mean that was interesting, because obviously you need a cab, right, if you're going to shoot that scene and so on. So we had basically flag one down, and made the driver an offer he couldn't refuse.
Oh man, just having the cab not turn up, that the stress is just,
well, because you've got it. I mean, everything's ready to go. I mean, you can't things around. You've got a shoot schedule and everything, and it, that does happen. Suddenly you get let down like that, and it's like, well, you just got to find a way around it. And oh yeah, hang on a minute, there are cabs in on. There's just hail one. Drivers off. The first cab he was, so that was quite fortunate. But yeah, I mean, you get things. We were good with the locations and things. Some of that all worked well. Obviously, that was all pre-scheduled, pre-arranged. But yeah, I mean, there's lots of silly things that happen that here and there, and I think another thing was one of the lenses didn't fit on the camera properly, and so we had to find another one. That was fun and games. But yeah, usual stuff. Stuff, yeah.
Right. What was the casting process like? Because you got George Lazenby involved, which is
well, I tell you how that happens. It was so I sent the pilot script to George's agent, and I thought there's 2 oats of him agreeing to do it, and they are No Hope and Bob Hope, but in fact he really liked it, so that was really useful. But I just simply sent the pilot script to his agent, and it just went from there. And I mean, the Bond film on Her Majesty's Secret Service has always been my favorite James Bond film. So I've always held George and as high esteem, as in my opinion, is the best James Bond, right? So obviously I'm biased, but I mean, these days he's heralded as the best Bond of that era. So and it was the first James Bond film I ever saw. So it had that lasting impression on me, and obviously the music score is amazing, that sort of stuff. So but yeah, I mean, the idea of George being in the show is that he is the alter ego to Pike. He's in Pike's mind, George is true talent, because George got the James Bond, out of 500 actors that the producers auditioned at that time, and he got the role based on his actual natural abilities, his skill set, and he hadn't actually, and it wasn't because of his acting, because he hadn't done a day's acting in his life at that point in time. I think he was on a chocolate commercial for a day or something, but he hadn't actually ever done any acting. He'd done modeling in the 60s, but but it was a lot of flack against him at the time getting the role, because there's a lot of seasoned actors. So I thought, well, that's not right. We're actors. We're trained and experienced, and this chap's come along and they're giving him this role. But of course, it's not about. It's about who's right for the role. Who's actually best.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So so that's, in Pike's mind, George represents pure meritocracy in show business. That's why he keeps cropping up and in different places. On the back of a taxi TV screen, or in a TV shop sort of thing, or on a billboard, and he's inspiring Pike to say inspiring, he's trying to help him sort of deal with this scenario he has of dealing with these crazy celebrities, but he's trying to give them a sort of guiding influence, and make sure he keeps them on the straight and narrow, which is pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, so that's where George fits in the show. But yeah, it really I sent the script to his agent, and it just went from there. It's so pretty lucky.
Oh man, that's yeah. Sometimes you just have to shoot your shot, right?
I mean, absolutely. I mean, just for anyone, if they, you got to, as I say, you don't shoot, you don't score. So you got to go for it, and you could have gone one way or the other with that. I mean, and fortunately, he liked what he read, so that was handy. But yeah, I mean, it just seemed like I mean, I wrote the pilot script with Nick Green, script writer. So we came up with the idea of George being in the show, and it's like, well, as I said, I mean, I thought do it, but then we just simply approached his agent, and he went from there.
Now, was there a backup plan? Like, if George said no, was there, okay, we could use this person instead? Let's go for these other people.
To be honest, no. Not really. If you said no, well, we've had to, obviously thought of someone else and approached someone else, but it was important that he came on board, but we would have dealt with that as and when. Do you know what I mean? It's cross that bridge if we needed to. So to answer your question, there wasn't really a backup plan apart from the fact that we would found someone else, but we weren't sure who that would have been. So yeah.
Maybe Timmy Mallet.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah, someone that kind of gravitas. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I mean, obviously iconic in their in their own right. So it's find something like that ticks all the boxes, if you like. So yeah, but I'm sure someone if necessary. But fortunately we didn't have to. So it was.
Which is a testament to the script and the story, right? Because if it was no good, he would have just passed on it. So that must have given you confidence as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely, yeah. And it's like a big jigsaw puzzle, isn't it? Like putting all the it was a big piece of the puzzle to get him on board. But then so that was then you've got so many elements, so many small pieces got to fit in as well, and get the whole thing in shape. And so but that was a big piece of it for sure.
And what about the other roles? How about the other roles? You know, Scarlett and Malcolm, and all of those
Yeah, I mean,
people.
we did a lot of, well, I mean, all the auditions were live. I mean, I'm not a fan of self-taping. So, we got the artists in to audition live. And so we just went through the normal old school audition process. So we called in artists and simply, auditioned them for the role, and gave them scenes from the pilot script to read, and we went from there. But yeah, I mean, we put together a really strong cast. But I mean, that was yeah, obviously there was a process involved with that. But we got it done relatively quickly, to be honest. I mean, I guess over a period of 2 weeks, and we did 3 days of auditions, live auditions. And then we did callbacks. So I guess it was over a 2.5, 3 week period that we got everything cast. We got all the casts in place. But yeah, I mean, we've been really fortunate with getting the right cast. It's not always an easy thing.
Yeah, and with something like this, because you're filming a pilot, but with the hope of producing, multiple seasons of a series. So, do you work that they come back for more, that they're in it for the long haul, or how do you work that kind of thing out?
Well, it's all about presenting to them what is known as a proof of concept. So the mini pilot is effectively that, a proof of concept. The idea is that a broadcaster, whether it's a streaming channel or a terrestrial, will look to take an option out on the idea on the show, and obviously it really goes from there. So it really is presenting that to the industry, basically. So that's what we're in the process of doing at the moment. Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting process. I mean, the filming is the easy bit. Funny, but yeah, I mean, I can't go into specific details on here now, but I mean, we're going to have a major streamer that's going to work with us. So exciting. So watch it, all to be announced. But also, it's about the zeitgeist thing. You heard that word zeitgeist a lot. It's a capturing the moment, and the essence. The timing has to be right and everything else. So you could go through, a year, 18 months of talking to streamers, broadcasters, and not getting any much response. But then suddenly events change, politics change and stuff, and suddenly your idea is more current. That world events, actually have a big bearing on what gets commissioned.
Well, you've got the fallout of Snow White at the moment, Rachel Ziegler and there's other things like that I think are fresh on a lot of people's mind, which could definitely play into what Pike is. So, those kind of things I'm sure have definitely been a help.
Yeah. I mean, I don't make any secret of the fact that Pike is in terms of, it's a rediscovery of meritocracy in show business, but it's I mean, someone might call it a poke at woke. It's kind of, it's actually going back at the absurdity that's been going on recently, and so in terms of common sense in entertainment, in actually, at the end of the day, there's a massive audience now that wants to have a good laugh. At the end of the day, being funny is like, it's a democratic process. Everyone's happy, everyone laughs together, and it's much more rewarding experience if it's experience. If it's if it's jointly experienced together. And so there are live shows at the moment in the West End. There's a resurgence of these shows like Fawlty Towers in the West End. Suddenly, like, I mean, the producers were told it's not going to last more than a week, and that they've had to extend months, of their sellout shows, and stuff. And obviously, it is elements of the show are certain areas would say politically incorrect and that sort of thing, but ultimately it's just it's just about a comedy and everyone enjoying a good laugh, not taking themselves too seriously about it. And also shows like Only Fools and Horses are being extended, having extended runs as well. I'm actually mentioning other shows, which I should be just talking about Pike really, but anyway. But you get my point. There's an audience that a big audience that want just fed up with all the PC stuff and then just want to go out and have a good laugh, and not at anyone's expense as such, but just collectively, and that sort of has come, has evolved in recent times, the ability to actually just laugh at yourself in situations that are just common for anyone, but actually truth, actual real life things are funny, just experiencing those together, it's a joint experience that everyone can have a laugh at, and just everyday things, like just going to the supermarket and the bag falling apart or the shopping going all over the place, that kind of thing. But just there's something that there's comedy in that, just everyday. Yeah. I mean, it's there's a universal fact that that people the audience are generally fed up with vacuous celebrity, or celebrity for no particular reason, as they have no obvious talent. So that it's just of providing, if you like, a viewpoint to what's going on in their subconscious, and they actually want to see these people get bumped off, and for them it's like, well, what a relief. We don't have to watch them anymore. Is that long-winded? You can edit that.
No, that I think it all makes sense, right? Like we see Netflix having Kill Tony on it, right? Which you'd never have thought they would do that a few years back. So we've definitely seen a change, I think, and an appetite, as you say, for people to laugh and just, unashamedly enjoy themselves, right? Without being like, oh, you can't laugh at this, and this is a topic make fun of, and you're just like, this is ridiculous.
That's what I'm trying to say. Essentially, that's it. You haven't got to. People just want to have a laugh. They don't want to worry about what. I mean, if someone's offended, then they can just leave
Exactly.
leave the theatre, whatever. They've got a choice, but it needs to be a choice. Yeah, and the audience has an opportunity to watch something that is actually universally totally hilarious. Everyone. It's so. Yeah, I mean, it's. I mean, some people have a problem laughing together because they, find that a bit too democratic. They don't want to seem to be like everyone's together having a laugh. They want to. Do you know what I'm saying? It's. Yeah, but generally, it's a great sort of coming together of everyone, and releases all those endorphins, what they call the things in the mind that actually makes you feel good, makes you feel happy about enjoying that experience. puts a spring in your step. That's it. Afterwards, so yeah. So obviously, Pike isn't all about getting, it's a dark comedy. So there's you know dark elements to it and stuff, but ultimately it is a poke at the absurdity of how celebrity is where we've got to with it at this point. And that'd be quite nice to do society a favour and just get rid of some of them,
Yeah, the vibes of the thick of it in there for me when watching this. I definitely, had some of that.
Yeah.
What would it be like, when you're working out these deals and everything? What's your ideal episode count, for a season, would you say?
Well, 8 episodes would be good, and 6 to 8 seasons, or even more. I mean, I've got 26 outline stories at the moment.
Okay, nice.
Done 8 scripts for series 1, 40-minute episodes. So yeah, I mean, that's what we're looking at. Series 1. So I mean, there's a lot of celebrities to Pike, I mean, it's
Well, as you say, yeah, and in so many different fields,
yeah,
right? TV, film, you can do books, you can do music, modeling, like influence, nonsense, computer game. Like, there's so many different avenues where this can go, and as I say, internationally, so there's so much to delve into, which is great.
yeah. There's lots of material out there. There's lots of opportunities to come up with new ways of piking. But as I say, I mean, the all the storylines are based on actual events that I experienced as an agent. So it's so there's got that inspired by true events thing to it.
Yeah.
And I mean, okay, so it's slightly heightened reality, as it were, but in terms of actually killing them. But yeah, it wasn't that far between losing it and going off the rails with some of these clients that I represented. But so yeah, I'm looking to illustrate the frustrations of the trials and tribulations of being a celebrity agent. And as we've said, I mean that can transpose universally to any territory, whether it's in London or New York or LA or Frankfurt, or Stockholm. It really, it's a universal situation at the moment, isn't it? So,
And would you syndicate something like this? Like when you look at things like The Office, and there's a German version, Australian version, and American, like Pike is something that you could definitely see that happening to as well.
yeah, I mean, my German's not that great, Kevin. So I think yes, absolutely. As you say, like the office type scenario, was that transpose really well to the States. But obviously, there's a creative element that still remains from the original show. So, but yeah, I mean, certainly, I mean, yeah, it's Piking is universal. It speaks all languages. So yeah, I mean that could work very well.
Man, yeah, this has definitely got a lot of legs to it. Like, are you thinking that you will write every episode, or do you think you'll, create a writer's room? Like, have you thought about that aspect of things?
Yeah, At the moment, so we've written the first season, myself
Yeah.
and Nick. Well, so, but yeah, I mean, potentially a writer's room, you know, it'd be great to develop that and have more ideas that come in. And there's you know, more ideas the better. So yeah, certainly a writer's room would be good to set up in due course. Whether that's with you know, who we can be working with on the broadcasting level, or you know, obviously elsewhere. But yeah, I mean that could work really well, and it's all about ideas and sharing ideas. I think that's important when you're writing is bouncing ideas off each other, because you don't always know particularly funny unless you're, you know, working together on something, you know. So, but if there were more people in the room, then on the writing front, then that really works well.
Oh, for sure, for sure. I have you thought about like doing flashbacks on the daughter and her singing and that aspect of things?
Yeah, we have actually shot a full episode 2, and that actually does that we have scenes where that occurs, a flashback to the daughter and her actually singing. It sounds like you've seen it, but I know you haven't because I haven't seen it. But yeah, but, we have actually shot those scenes.
Uh,
So yeah,
oh,
will
tremendous.
be revealed in due course.
Hmm. Oh man, well, I'm very much looking forward to delving into the world of Pike at
Yeah,
some point, and hopefully soon.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Watch this space. Some details to follow, dates and so on, and times. But I think probably by we're aiming to have a first broadcast date around September
Okay.
2025.
Right,
Uh,
right.
that's what we're aiming for. So yeah, I mean, definitely keep you up to date with what's happening on that front. But yeah, there's a lot of piking to get on with. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, was it because is this the first thing you've written?
yeah, it is actually.
Mm.
Yeah.
Was that daunting?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's actually took like anything to get started. I mean, you know, a journey begins in one step. You know, and it's been a long and winding road. You know, to get to it's to get to this point. It's been yeah, a hell of a process, to be honest. But the writing, starting with that was a difficult process. I mean, because I was on my own at that point. Uh,
Yeah.
it was just finding a writing partner that, you know, you could work with, and if you like, had the same twisted mentality. Well, you understand on the same page, sort of thing. You
Yeah.
know. So that was difficult, yeah, and that took time. That took a lot of time. Um, before I met Nick, you know, and we came up with some, you know, started working. Right. But as I say, I mean, they were inspired by true events, but you still need to be able to, you know, turn that into something that is, and entertaining for an audience,
Mm.
and through the data, through the script itself. Um, I hadn't scripted anything before, so I didn't have that experience, or if you like, that confidence, even, you know, to sort of do that on my own. You know? I mean, I did the story outlines, but as I say, based on true experiences. But I mean, actually, originally, I read those story outlines at around Soho reading clubs. A friend of mine was all Celine was organising a reading club in Soho. So I actually read live the original outlines, and got an overwhelming response from the audience, very positive response, and you know that inspired me to move forward to go into the next stage. You know, so it's all levels that you get to. You know, you sort of think, oh
Yeah.
yeah, you go to the next level, and you keep moving forward. But you've got to be inspired each time. You know that there's something that an audience wants to see, you know, and it was all about what the audience wanted from me, you know, and just starting out doing those Soho reading clubs was really, really helpful. It kind of went on from there, you know.
Oh, tremendous.
Yeah.
Oh no, that's great, man. And then having George read it and definitely want to be a part of it, that's definitely a huge boost. So
definitely. I mean, that came later. I mean, that was when I teamed up with Nick. We came up with the idea. But I mean, the original outlines, I was on my own, you know. So that was, it was pretty daunting, to be honest. Because I mean, when you create something, you write something, you think, well, you know, is anyone going to actually be interested in hearing about it? So you have to get up in front of a live audience, basically. It's a small audience, but nonetheless, it doesn't really matter if it's a big audience or a large or a small one. You know, it's the same experience. Got to get up there and deliver it, and so that was the early stage. That was the most daunting element, was actually working out an audience wanted to, you know, was interested. So that was a process. So
well, I mean, you've definitely done a great job. You know what I mean? So being able to, you know, I mean, step into a world which you haven't like played in before and, you know, make it work, right? There's something to that. So congratulations on, you know, this Pike pilot. I think it's, you know, you've won awards, right? It just very enjoyable, and it wants you to want more.
That's
so
the idea.
Definitely done it right.
Thanks for that, Kevin. Appreciate that. And we'll keep you posted on developments and everything else. You know, as I said, keep posted and watch out, Pikes at large. You know, out there prowling around looking for candidates to Pike, and you know, it's catching on. So,
he's going to be the new boogeyman that agents tell their clients.
well, you know, it's kind of make you think twice of doing something that's not very inspiring on Instagram, you know, and might get wind of it, and then you gotta watch. Keep, that's the sort of bogeyman thing, if you like. But yeah, he's out there. So yeah, we'll keep you posted on everything. Thanks for inviting me on today.
No worries, man. As I said, if AJ hits me up with something, I know it's going to be good, and she's not been wrong yet. So it was tremendous. I really appreciate you stopping by. And once everything gets ironed out and you're able to talk, you know, about deals and, you know, seasons and all of that, man, it'd be tremendous for you to come back on and we can chop it up again.
Yeah, I look forward to that. So soon, definitely. See you soon.
Great. Oh, before you go, let people know how they can keep track of you, man.
Well, do you know what? I actually practice what I preach. I'm not on social media much. Right. Well, how do you track you? Is that, I don't know. Instagram, not really. I think it's I'm on Instagram, Delaney. I think it's 8947 or something crazy like that. But let me come back to you on that. Probably speak to AJ. She knows how to get hold of me. AJ, speak to AJ. AJ will know. But yeah, I mean, as I say, I mean, I'm not lying. You know, sort of, I don't really do much social media, so I'm not entirely sure how to get hold of me. How get hold of the show, as it were. But hey, just let me know, and we can send you some details and links and everything. Yeah.
Okay. Well, people, keep an eye out for Pike.
Sorry?
I didn't say people keep an eye out for Pike because hopefully it will be coming. Well, later in the year to I don't know, a platform, a streaming, a network, somewhere near you.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. Well, Charles, it's been fantastic. Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate that.
Well, I hope you get some stuff out of that that works, but yeah, I mean, thanks, as I say, for inviting me on, and I'll let you know on some broadcast dates. And also, you never know, I might have a social media link then, and then you can find Pike on there. But yeah, thanks again, mate. Great.
Hey, no worries, man. No worries. You take care.
Take care. See you then.